We're good.
We're good. We're good. So first of all, thank you, Donald. I really appreciate letting me use coming onto your system, coming onto your show. So I hope you're doing well. First of all, thank you for letting me. It's a great pleasure to meet you. So those of you who don't know, this is Donald Ledesma. So he's part of the Alien Strand podcast, a movie director,
Yes.
UFO extraordinaire and extraterrestrial extraordinaire. Really, first of all, thank you for letting me spend some time with you. Thank you for letting me use your amazing setup as well. So, like, we're using StreamYard. So this is the first
Yes.
time I've used this. It is effortless. We're going to see some pretty cool clips tonight. We're going to see some of your work as well. Some you're directing and some of your stuff with you as well, which would be good to see. But
Yes.
before we get into that, how are you doing? You good?
I am doing well. Thank you for
Yeah.
asking, and thank you for having me on your show today. Because, I was excited when you sent me that email, and I was like, yes, I love being on other people's podcasts. By the way, I love being on other people's podcasts. It helps everybody, when we're doing
Yeah.
these things. But yeah, we've had rain out here. It's just been raining all day long, thunderstorms. Finally, I live down here in Texas, South
Right. Okay.
Texas, here in the United States. So we've been having some extreme hot weather, man. But it's other than that, I mean, I'm just doing good, trying to hang in there, just like everybody else.
That's mad though. So obviously for us, we're coming into like winter season, also like just coming out of like autumn winter season now, because so obviously for us it's like it's finally getting a bit colder. Like we have rain pretty much all the way through the back end of the year, but for you guys it must just be just non-stop the heat over there.
It's
Must be
brutal.
crazy.
It's brutal.
You wouldn't explain how many people in the UK would just love for like a hint, just a little dab of your weather, because
Really? Wow.
it is cold over here. Yeah, it's cold.
Wow.
It is cold.
Yeah,
Oh.
we're waiting for our cool weather, but it'll be here. I think this weekend we're going to actually drop down 10 whole degrees.
Wow.
Woo-hoo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Winter, we have less than 10. We have less
Wow.
than 10.
Wow.
So a little bit about you. So Donald, talk to us a little bit about you, what you do with Alien Strand. I know we have your podcast, you're on multiple different channels. We're live on loads of platforms right now.
Yes.
Talk to us a little about yourself and Alien Strand, if that's all right.
Right. So I started Alien Strand podcast in 2019 of July. My wife now, we had just got together, and then, she just knew that I was so much into UFOs, ufology, and I was always studying stuff, watching the History Channel, all these shows. And she just told me, he goes, why don't you just start a podcast, Donald? And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea, but I didn't know how to do it. I was just like everybody else, just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I ended up starting it in June of 2019. And then, I just started doing stories that I never knew that were out there. I knew about like the Betty and Barney Hill story, abductions, things that we've heard as, me as a young child, watching these shows in the 70s and 80s and 90s, about these abductions and things that happen to people. But at that time, even in 2019, people weren't really into aliens as they were, but not as much as they are today. So, but in 2019, like I said, you know what? Let me start it. I did 10 podcasts. They were a little rough.
Yeah.
Just like anybody else. But I ended up just picking up speed. I started interviewing, a lot of different people, and they were telling me a lot of their stories that were happening to them.
That sounds good. It's been a big journey, a long journey, right?
Yes, it is.
A long journey.
Yes,
That's good.
yes.
Yeah. But for where you are now, it's crazy. So the amount of amount of downloads and stuff you're getting on. Obviously, like you mentioned already, like extraterrestrial is just a hot topic this year. Obviously, for UK, it's a little bit less, but everything in here, US is just UFO. This alien exposure. This is just mad, right?
It is.
You must just be loving it. You must be loving it. You must be.
Yeah, in a way, yes, and in a way, no. Because when the extraterrestrial came out here recently in Mexico City, right? When they presented it to Congress there, a lot of the ancient alien people and everything else, they're like, okay, we all lost our job. Now what are we gonna do?
Okay, can't prove it anymore. It's there.
Yeah, they got the alien, but really in reality, no, we don't have a live alien yet that we could see. But hey, it's a possibility that something is there. It's 30% non-human, right? So they're still trying to figure that out with all the analysis that they're trying to do. So. We're just going with that.
That's good. That leads me into the most important question. So, have you ever seen an extraterrestrial or UFO?
I have seen a UFO. Actually,
Wow. Okay.
how it started for me, I was about
Hmm.
14 years old,
Yeah.
and I was in my parents' backyard. I was out there. I just cut the grass. I looked up at the sky, and at those evenings we had a really beautiful sunset here in South Texas. So I
Hmm.
was looking up the sky, and I could see the moon clear as day. And I saw just something going across the moon, and it actually made a shadow on the moon. And I was like, I was like,
Wow.
wait a minute, what does that, right? So there I go. I started hitting the library at school. When we actually had libraries, you could sit there and read a book. And we didn't type everything in there, but I was going through every UFO book I could find, right? And I was just intrigued by it so much
Yeah.
that I had to figure out, okay, what am I looking at? What did I just see? So I just kept going forward and forward all these years. I would see a bunch of them even when I was living in New Mexico. Excuse me. So yeah, and it was at first, when you see these things, you don't think of it as a UFO, UAP,
No.
whatever. You're looking at it first of all, and you're thinking, well, could it be a balloon? Could it be an airplane just going by? But when you see these things, after I've studied these things for a while now, they're when the lights are blinking, like an airplane, they're
Yeah.
going to have a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. These are going to be very erratic, very different, very the pattern's going to be totally different.
Hmm.
So I have seen these things. Unfortunately, I think one time out here recently, I got to grab a photo of something that was pretty close, an actual video of it. I didn't put it up here today, but it was amazing. I didn't know what I was catching there, but there was a rainbow in the cloud. You ever seen those rainbow clouds? Like it's a cloud, but it
No, I
kind of
haven't.
looks like
No.
a rainbow just way, way up
Okay.
there. I could have swore I saw something flying through there. I grabbed my camera, I shot it, I sent it to my friend Anibal. He's our
Hmm.
analysis expert for Alien Strand Disclosure Project.
Yeah.
So he analyzed it for me, and you could see it clear as day. 2, 3 UFOs flying by in the cloud, and these are things that are up there every single day. Once you see one, you can't unsee it. You know, so not like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat. I'm not one of those
No.
freaks, things like that. But it's just once you get into it, it's hard to get out of it.
I think definitely your side of the water, right? Yeah, I think you probably must. Obviously, at least I'm just making a summarization. You probably hear a lot less UFO sightings from Europe and the UK. It just feels there's so many more sightings and there's so much more like traction in the US. And I think is it because it's a bigger country? I know we're tiny, like us are smaller than the state of yours, but it's just it's just you just hear about it a lot more.
Right.
Obviously, you're in those circles of everyone talking about extraterrestrials and stuff. So, what's the craziest thing? And I'm thinking to think of that you've seen, or one of the most like strangest things that someone sent in that's related to extraterrestrial, whether it's alien or UFO.
I have a video that
Right.
a friend of mine. She's going to be on my second film. It's called The Middle Part
Okay.
2, CE3. She's an actual contactee. So one night, her and her husband were sitting outside, her boyfriend, and they saw this. They live in Arizona, mind you, in Sedona,
Okay.
Arizona. It's kind of open plain out there, just some mountains. They saw this glowing ball coming towards them, and it went so close to them that it's probably feet away from them. And these are things that people don't think that happen to folks. We always see videos and photos of it, but at long, far distances.
Yeah.
This video that I have is something up close, and we're going to show it in our film as well. But do you want to see the video? Would you like to see
You
it?
can't not tease me and not say that. Come on. Come on. We want to see it. We want to
So
see
her
it.
name is Jody Brown. She's an ASDP
Okay, cool.
ufologist with ASDP with us. So here's her footage. Just check this out real quick.
I see the trailer, but the light itself. It looks like it's changing or moving or something.
By the tree.
Milo, where are you? Get over here. Yeah. See, now it's super bright.
Mm-hmm. I think it's one of those lights
It is. It's got
they
to
go
like
down and they go
light or something, huh?
like a lightsaber kind of like that.
Fuckers.
It's crazy.
On that video, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's super up close. This thing had floated all the way to where they were at, and it
Right.
set itself down about that high off the ground. So, and it's not a light. I do have another video of one where it's kind of moving back and forth. So I know it's not them with a flashlight or something on the ground.
Yeah.
She has sent me like 4 or 5 videos of this exact thing that was happening to her out there. So, and it's kind of strange because after that, she starts getting more and more and more encounters that are happening to her over and over, and shadow figures, things like that, almost paranormal-ish.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like you mentioned at the start, said so that when you first saw your first UFO when you was young, you was intrigued. You wanted
Right.
more, right? I had a
Right.
recent chat with a gentleman who was a ghost hunter. He had an experience when he was young. He saw a ghost. He wanted more of it. He kept seeing more of it. And do you think now that obviously if you've seen one, so a bit of self-pleasure, I've never seen UFO. I've seen one shooting star.
Right.
One. You must see him every night. I guarantee if you went out there, there's nothing like that in the UK. Nothing. I mean, like, but I imagine if you see it, like you said, do you open up your mind to actually start questioning things? Like, do you start thinking, okay, there's things out there now. I've seen it. I know in my eyes that I've seen a ghost. I've seen a UFO. They're real. So now I'm going to start actively pushing and look for it rather than closing the doors. You must have a lot of people put the barriers up and say that's fake. What is that?
I mean, in every podcast that I have, I always say keep an open mind, and there's another thing that I always say is I'm not here to make you believe. That's up to you to decide, right? So I just give you the evidence. I just shoot you everything that I see, everything that comes in. But having an open mind helps a lot, really, in reality, because I see a lot of people. There's people that are out there called trolls. They'll go to your site. They'll just knock everything down that you throw out there. And there's people that are actually enjoying being ufologists and learning ufology, right? And so when they put their video or photo out there, and then somebody goes out there, that's CGI, oh, that's Photoshop. When this person actually took this photo and they're true to their word, right? And then somebody does this to them and knocks their spirit down somewhat, and they don't want to kind of go any further because they're afraid of the backlash, the stigmas and all that come with it. So I mean, always have an open mind. But as for me, ever since I saw one, I never stopped looking up at the sky, right? So if you don't look up at the sky constantly, you're not going to see one. If you keep looking forward or looking down or looking at your phone all the time, you're never going to see one. So you got to kind of think about those options, if you're kind of looking in that direction.
So you're thinking, like I said, open your mind, put your head up, looking. Do you see more UFOs at night, or is there more UFOs at night? Would you say there's more sightings?
Believe it or not, more in the daytime than there is.
Wow.
Yeah, people always say, "Oh, at night." You see all these videos now of nighttime photos when it first started, but now you see so many more daytime photos. Like in my movie, the middle of the very first movie we have with I interviewed Mr. Terry Lynch. It was his story. He's the one that he showed me videos. Then they were all daytime videos, things that were seen on top of this mountain. It's I show this all in the documentary, and my documentary shows people exactly how to spot UFOs in the sky, how to use their cameras, things like that.
So I think you've mentioned it already about your documentary. So let's talk a little bit about it. So you've been in obviously a Netflix documentary. You've got a new one coming up, or
we got one on Amazon Prime. I'm going to pop it up right here real quick. So this one's called the Middle Cascadia Guides. So if you just type in the middle, you're gonna find something different, but you have to type in the Middle Cascadia Guides. Even in the UK, because I have a friend out there. His name's Paul Wilburn. He lives in the UK as well. This is the only way.
We're a small island. We probably know each other. Yeah.
This is the only way he found it. But our film released in January of 2023. Our documentary. Cool. It was something enjoyable to do. We planned it for a whole year. That gentleman, Terry Lynch, right there on the left with me, we're showing, holding the camera. It's his story. He found this. It's called a geoglyph on top of this mountain, 8,000 feet above sea level, right in the middle of nowhere, and it uncovered itself by mass wasting, which means over the years of time, yeah, the water and the rain and the snow washed away a lot of the debris that was on
Mhm.
top of this mountain and started uncovering this geoglyph that's up there. So the movie has a lot to do as actually most of the movie is about the geoglyph and the UFOs he was catching up there in that general area of La Pine, Oregon.
And is it so? Obviously, I like the T-shirt, Alien Strand, loving that. He's got his merch on there as well. You got a nice one there
Oh,
as well. So obviously, I don't want to read it too much. So guys, please make sure you do check it out. Obviously, any spoilers? Can you tell us a little bit in it? Any some of the stuff you found in it as well? And obviously, you mentioned it already. Anything else? What would you
well,
say?
there's a lot of people in there that you're going to see some people from New Mexico,
Right.
people from Oregon, people from Arizona. You're going to see Arizona Gallegos. He's got a very popular website there on Facebook called
Mhm.
Arizona Secret Backyard. He shows a lot of UFOs. Anyway, I had him on there. Uh, a lot of folks on there that tell their stories of things that they've seen and witnessed, in the sky up there, and they show all their videos, they show all their photo evidence, and analysis as well, of what they look like under a different spectrum of light. So you can kind of know exactly what they're seeing up there.
So if we talk about like, just say for instance, I go outside now. It's pitch black here. It's like it's like midnight here. I
Yeah.
see a UFO.
Right.
Okay. What would you say to someone who's obviously, I'm a believer. I 100% believe there is things that I have no idea what, obviously no idea, but definitely believe there is extraterrestrials. Whether they visit the planet or not, I most probably think they have. I think they have. Right. So, but what was the first sort of steps you would do? Someone say, right, I've just literally seen a UFO. What do you think you should do? Because you must hear so many mistakes. I've tried to do it on this, or what would you say would be to do?
Well, most people a lot of people will grab their phone right away and start recording. A lot of people are
Yeah.
are in shock. They'll just sit there in awe with their
Yeah.
mouth open, kind of just watching this as it's happening, right? So, there's steps that you have to take. Make sure you're filming it. Make sure you're the motion on here that's it's locked into where it's the
Yeah.
stabilization's on, and then you have to record it. Time, date, things like that. The only reason we tell a lot of people to do this is because what if somebody in the next state over, the next county over, or wherever you're at, next farm or whatever, saw the same thing, reporting the same thing? You can actually put these pieces of the puzzle together and say, hey,
Okay.
I'm not full of crap. I saw this here. This other person saw it here. They saw exactly the same craft. You can actually write everything down and we put it down, as analysis, and we make reports as well. So, and you can report it. There's a lot of UFO reporting sites out there. We're one of them. We have our own as well.
So if I see it now, just say, and do you take reports from all over the world?
Yes. Yes.
So it's not just, okay, cool. So if I see one now, do you reckon? Obviously, make sure I record it. I've got a recording time and date, make sure I've got details, and I'd send it into you.
Yes. You send it to me, and then I'll make a report of it. I'll either call you or email you, and then I'll start making a full report on my phone. We have apps for that now, so and it makes it so much easier. And if the photos and video evidence is the best thing. So after that, what we do is we do analysis on the photos and videos just to make sure it's not a plane,
of
right,
course.
or things like that. So it's harder at night because we mistake a lot of airplanes for UFOs, even drones, even though you're not supposed to fly them at night. It's against the law. People still do it. You know what I mean? So,
do you get a lot of hoaxes? So I know you've mentioned trolls, right? There's trolls. I think it seems to just ever since the internet has been invented, there's trolls. But do you get a lot of hoaxes? Do you get a lot of people who continually just send in you just garbage just to waste time?
Yes, there's a lot of crap out there, and it's when you see that same UFO in different places moving the exact same way, and you can almost tell now what CGI is almost, but there's some freaking editors out there that are really, really good.
Yeah.
And they'll put the Millennium Falcon out there from Star Wars and make it look like it's right there in your yard. And that's the hard thing to tell now. But now there's actually programs out there, that software that you can bypass it and it'll actually tell you if it's CGI or not. So they're starting.
It takes the human bit out of it.
Yes.
Spot on.
Yep. Exactly.
That's crazy. Can you think of AI? And I know AI is literally the most that is the word of 2023. Think of any of the acronym. AI is just where everything's going. AI pictures, ChatGPT. You must be thinking, make me a UFO. It can make you a picture of one right now. But you must have to be really clear, detailed of, like you said, analysis to understand. You can put that through a machine or put that through like a digital system and say, right, that's fake. That's fake.
Yes. Yep.
But you'll probably have that picture with stories. If I come up and said to you, I saw one, it flew over my, what does it look like? Oh, you'd probably get a feeling because you probably have had so many trolls about it, wouldn't you?
Exactly. And we have like thermal software as well. It's like, so it goes thermal, and we could see all different aspects and different ratios of it. And what it'll do is it'll break it down into different colors, and we'll start seeing the straight lines in it. One thing about AI, CGI, you can see a exact straight line. You know what I mean? Usually on a UFO, if it's a real UFO, even with the naked eye, it'll have an EMF. It's called electronic magnetic field around it.
Right.
So this is the glow, the bubble that it has. And this is why when you take a photo, it's blurry as hell. Right? I don't care. You can sit there as clear as day. If you take a photo, it's going to be blurry, just like Bigfoot, right? So, but you take photos and videos, a lot of times it's just super blurry because it's got electronic magnetic field on it. A lot of people's phones go dead instantly. Your cameras will die. If your batteries will die instantly. It's a real craft. If you're a good distance away. Okay. I've done podcasts on people that have gotten so close to these real ones that they get burned with radioactive material. Yeah. And they end up dying of cancer after like 5 years or a few years of it because of the burns that they got from being so close to this thing. So there's a lot of real stories out there that I've done. And then there's a lot of, kind of, okay, is this real or it's not kind of thing. But that's where you have to do your homework, really, in reality.
Yeah. But I think that comes with experience. So you're very well experienced, thinking about, look at a file you've come even with your podcast. You think about, you've got how people contact you, you've got thermal imaging review. I tell you what, honestly, when you said when I said I could have a chat with you, I was so buzzing, because someone obviously who hasn't seen a UFO,
right?
I love aliens. Like I love, probably it's probably not the right word, but I love extraterrestrial. I'm interested, and it's just not having that understanding of what you would do. But it is crazy, and it's good to hear you're passionate about it as well, because when someone's so passionate about it, they put so much effort into it. But it must be frustrating with it. But I do have to pick up on something. So in the back of you, I can see something that says Area 51.
Yes.
Right? So I can see that little. So just give us your thoughts on Area 51. What's there? What secrets do you think? Just go on.
When we went to go film the movie, we drove over 5,000 miles from Texas all the way to Oregon, right? So we stopped there in Nevada, and we went to the black mailbox that's out there, and we were close by Area 51. We went down the extraterrestrial highway, and when we stopped there, and my son, he actually helped me. He was doing the sound, and he helped with camera B. His name's Donald Jr. by chance. Anyway, so he goes, Dad, let's go check it out back there. So you know what? We're pressed on. We only had 12 days to shoot, right? So we only had like 8 more days left. I said, I wish we can go all the way back there and turn around and come back out, but I don't know how long it's going to take us. But I've read so many stories. I've seen the stories of Bob Lazar, everything that happened up there in Area 51 and S4, what they called it out there. I mean, I believe that something is happening back there, or it was a test area, for maybe crafts that we don't know. Maybe the government knows about. Maybe they're testing it. Hell, I don't know. Are they ever going to tell us? No, probably not. But I believe that something's happening there in Area 51. It's just it took them forever to actually admit that there was an Area 51. Remember, so it actually took a judge to say, "Well, I'm looking at a picture of it. How can it not exist?" Before they said, "Okay, yeah, it's there." They had to.
But I think that's coming on to obviously one of the next questions I was about. So, like, with the official announcements this year, you've got Mexico City unveiling an alien, right? So an extraterrestrial. That's out there, and obviously the internet melted when that came out. Even over my side of the world, it was just like, this is crazy,
right?
Where do you? And obviously with legislation this year, obviously, like you said, they're breaking down walls now. They're saying that that we have encountered aliens. We all know there's been some form, whether the Roswell, obviously, that's probably one of the only places I know and stuff. But like, where do you think we're going to be this time next year? Where do you think we're going to be? As in, are we going to have to say that in the London Museum, this is little Jimmy. He came down in 1940. He was been at Area 51 for the last 5 years. Are we going to have that? Do you reckon?
It's hard to tell. I mean,
Yeah,
the evidence is coming out, but from different countries, which is great. I'm glad.
yeah,
I'm glad because now it's not just David Gresh with the United States. It's Mexico now, and now it's going to be other countries that are starting to come together and say, "Hey, wait a minute here. We got something here in our hands that was walking this earth 1,000 years ago, right? And
Yeah.
we have mummies of it. Why is it you saying that these things are not here? We're seeing it up in the sky. More people now these days have cell phones, right? So than before, back then everybody just had a little camera, so you barely saw any photos or videos. Now
Yeah.
everybody has one, so now that's why you're starting to see it more and more every day, right?
Okay.
But I think that maybe hopefully by next year, maybe we'll get some more whistleblowers. I don't know if they're going to come out 100% with it, still, I just think they're probably kind of maybe getting us ready for something. So that way, as people are not too much in shock, because then it's going to break into the religion part, then it's going to break into politics part, then it's going to break into everything. So they don't want the world to kind of be kind of chaotic about it. You got to kind of give
Drip
people
feed.
you're right, just in small increments, so that way you can just take it, okay, until we get the big picture.
I've never thought about that, because I never thought you are right. It's going to cause like cataclysmic changes, because you think, well, aliens have been here. Aliens may have shaped the world.
Right.
Are they alive? Do we have alive ones that are still there? And obviously, like you said, just drip feed. We found this. This has been here for 1,000 years. It could break religion. It could break, constructions and like the way we currently have, law and legislation. It could adjust everything.
Exactly.
They don't want anarchy, do they?
Exactly. And because if they lose the world, they lose everything, right? As far as like if people go freaking nuts, then what are you going to do? So I don't know. Maybe these things have been here for thousands of years, just watching us, really. Like we're the zoo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're the
Truman Show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do next. Okay. Let's see, they're just kind of watching. They're watching. We're seeing more spheres now every day. They're like little mini drones to me. They're just kind of watching, of what's happening to folks. If you're into ufology, that's what you're seeing out there now.
So main UFO structures, would you say, are they more sort of like dish shaped, or can they be, multitude different shapes? Like you said, are they?
I'm gonna say 80% are saucer shape. 80 to 90% of the real ones are saucer shape, and they're going to be this dull metallic color.
Yeah,
it's not going to be real shiny chrome. It's not going to be none of that crap. It's going to be a real dull. And if you really notice, a lot of these crafts, you're not going to be able to see no rivets, no welding, anything like that. So if you see people with pictures of 18-wheelers pulling something that looks like a UFO, I always break the photo down, and I start catching welding marks and rivets, things like that. You're not going to see any of that. Bob Lazar has explained that these things are like molded. It's like a 3D print. You know what I mean? Like they had these things done. It's just one solid piece to where everything's
edgeless.
molded
together. There's no seams, nothing. Yeah, there's no
exactly. And on a true UFO, usually 9 times out of 10, I have a friend of mine. Her name's Jody Gordon. She's out of Arizona as well.
Yeah.
Not Jody Brown, Jody Gordon. She showed me how to do this, but she goes, "Look, Donald, if you catch a UFO on your phone, look next to it. You'll always see a little dot right next to it, which is the little drone, the little small sphere. So every time you see a UFO craft like a saucer shape, you're always going to see a little sphere next to it on a photo." So, and she goes, and that's how you're going to know that it's a real craft, UFO craft up there in the sky. So
why is that? What else would that be? Like you said, it's the drone that is monitoring the airspace, or
I think it's monitoring it and kind of keeping it from just checking the area around it. What would we do if what are we doing now on Mars? Before we send our ships out there, we're sending probes out there. Already they're on the ground, rovers, they're checking out the whole area. That's exactly what these things are doing, and they've been doing it. Because of the indifference of what they look like and how they are, these extraterrestrials. I mean, it'd be hard for them to land on the ground and walking around. They're going to look so indifferent.
That's a really good point. Like you said, like we're going to the moon, we're going to Mars, we're going to different planets. We're sending out stuff first. We'll send out probe ships just who are they haven't got humans on there to assess it, understand is there life? Could we do? That's a really good show. I didn't think of that. It's crazy,
Yeah,
but it opens your mind up. You need to, like you said, open your mind up. Think bigger. Don't just think a saucer flying in the sky.
exactly. And you have to, because that way, at least you can wrap your mind. I always say wrap my mind. I always wrap my mind around everything, because I just want to make sure what I'm looking at. I want to make sure I can break it down, even if it's in science, quantum, anything you want to break it down, whatever you want to do, just make sure that you're able to understand what you're seeing, in the sky, and then think, okay, yeah, it's a UFO or it's something, we didn't make that, we still don't have that propulsion, we're still shooting ourselves up in a can, in a trash can full of gasoline up in the sky. You know what I mean? So kind of think about it that way. We're still in there. That's where we're at now, shooting ourselves up in rockets,
So thinking to go back, right? So you think, do you think, obviously you think aliens have they've obviously been to the world before, they've been around, they've floated around. Do you think they've supported construction, as in, I know obviously the famous ones, pyramids. Do you think they've supported construction and our civilization to get to the current state? Do you think there's been intervention?
I think so. They had to show the people from the back end, then the civilizations. Me personally, I think that the pyramids, I think they were there already, and these folks just went in there and put graffiti on the wall on the outside. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So and they just they said, okay, we adopted this. Let's just go ahead and just put our marks there. After the centuries or years or whatever, the millennium that passed, these structures, now they're starting to find more megalithic structures, Galepi Tepe that they just found. Now it's going back 10,000 years. You know what I mean? We had nothing going back that far yet. This is the oldest structure out there right now. And they're just starting to uncover everything that's there, why they made it. They still don't know why it was made, but it's a huge structure there in Turkey, just trying to, it's just structures. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but you might want to take a look at that one of these days. And it's just one of the oldest structures made out there that, and it to tell you the truth, everything that's megalithic, everything that we have up there, even in Peru, Nazca, every place that you see out there, everything's what's that word? Where it's meshed up with the cosmos. You know?
Oh, symmetrical.
Yeah,
it's all like perfectly symmetrical.
Everything's mathematical, man.
Yeah.
Everything's mathematical. So as far as the stars, from north, south, east, and west, everything's perfect, just about perfect. And we just kind of think about this too. 1800s, 1700s, 1600s. We're still fighting with swords, and with, you know what I mean? We barely had the wheel with horses and stuff. These people were already doing everything up in the stars, and scientifically, they had astronomy down way before anybody did, and building these things thousands and thousands of years before that. So you start thinking, okay, what happened to us? What happened? In between that, and that's kind of gets you wondering. Yeah,
I think that's, like you said, like the more you think about it, the more open your mind. We've only been space traveling 50 years, 60 years at most.
Yeah,
would you say?
Yeah, something like that.
Before we get onto it, I have to ask you, right? Was the moon landing real? What are your thoughts? Yes or no? You guys love a conspiracy. You guys love a conspiracy over there.
Me personally, I believe so. I believe they were there. I believe they were saying, "Oh, they were CGI," and then when you start looking at the video from 1963, and okay, man, come on, they didn't make CGI in 1963. So, and if you go and Google, how they have Google Earth, Google Moon, Google Mars, all that stuff.
What?
If you do that on Google Earth, I think you can look at the moon. So you can actually see where they planted the flag there on the landing.
I did not know there was Google Mars and Google what?
Yeah. You can go and see the whole planet as close as you want to. You know what I mean? So that's where we're getting a lot of these images from folks out there. Just regular people like you and I are finding anomalies out there just by looking at these.
So obviously you've been focused. Obviously, would you say you're more reactive? So you're waiting to hear stuff. Have you have you ever been like proactive of like, you know, using telescopes, finding things in the skies, would you say? Because I imagine you're probably doing that when you was younger, but obviously you've got people feeding in more, like, or do you go out and search and look for stuff and say, right, these weeks, these days, I'm searching, I'm hunting to find truth, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, every once in a while, I'll go out there with my drone or my cameras, and I'll just start pointing up at the sky. I mean, I do my homework. Do I have the time for it now? Very little, man, because I'm just doing podcasting and
You're a busy guy. You got your own. You're on
oh,
Amazon. You're on.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah, and
please
then a lot of
again.
people,
Make sure we watch it. Make sure we watch it. Plug it
yeah,
again.
and a lot of people will instant message me every day about their contacts, things that happen to them,
Yeah.
abductions, things like that. And I'm sitting there and I'm helping these people.
Yeah.
That's all I do is try to help folks overcome the what's happening to them and helping them understand exactly what happened to them. And usually after they talk to me and we do the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
they tell me, man, I'm so glad I did. I feel 100% better now after I did it. After talking about it. So and that's what I do is I go out there and help folks.
I definitely feel that, obviously, and that's the whole point of having these discussions, is just to grow. Whether for me, just to understand it a little bit more, but obviously for other people out there, they've seen stuff, they've done stuff, and like I said, having a chat with you and saying, I said an example. I spoke to a ghost hunter. I've said it already. I explained it when I first saw a ghost. I thought I saw a ghost when I was 3. And for years and years, everyone in the family was like, what are you talking about? It wasn't a ghost. Of course, it wasn't a ghost. And then having a chat with him, he was like, actually, you probably did see one. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. That's when your barrier's low. You're more likely to have seen something. And it was a vicar. It was like the most random thing ever. But talking to you now, obviously, people may well have had experience, but like you said, they're more worried about trolls or the abuse they'll get off the back of it. Like I can't even begin to explain. Like you said, people are going to abuse people or be offensive towards people to say that I've seen something. Well, of course it's fake. Well, they might be feeling that. I don't want to say anything because everyone will say it's fake. I might come across as the stupid one because it might have only been a plane. But the message you're saying is, say it. Reach out to people, reach out to experts, reach out to yourself, and share with them and say, even if it was a plane, what's the worst thing you're going to do? You're going to have a laugh together. Like you're not going to get.
That's a true statement, and that's why we have our group. It's called Alien Strand Disclosure Project Group. In that group, we handpick people if they want to learn ufology, whatever. So, and they get to post their photos and videos on there. And on our page, you're not going to get trolled. We're not going to look down on you. You are number one in our group.
Yeah.
So we all work together as a team, and everybody breaks it down. And even if it's not real, we'll tell them, look, it may not be real, but here it is. This is what we found, and they're good with it. But then we teach them, okay, this is the best way to figure out how it is. We show them how we broke it down, and this is how they learn. This is how everybody learns. But I have my trailer. Do you want to watch the trailer for my film?
Come on, let's watch it. We've got to watch the trailer. Come on, we've got to watch it. You've got me buzzing for it. Seriously, you make me want to go out there now and say, look, stop the podcast. I want to go out there try and searching for UFOs. I really want to.
Oh yeah, it's fun. But okay, let me throw it on now. Here we go.
In the process of my research, I found this location as I was searching through satellite imagery. It looks to me like it resembles a sphere.
When I first seen my first sighting, I actually seen a whole fleet of them.
So I saw it and I stood right here and I thought, do I want to walk into the light?
That's what was lit up. But there was no sound.
Come on, guys, follow me to the Cascadia guys. We're here. Yes, I do feel like I'm connected with them. I am what they call a CE3.
Why not believe it?
That was incredible. I'm speechless. That was brilliant.
Yeah, that's it right
When
there.
does that come out? When does it come out?
It came out in January of this year.
Oh, sorry.
Out already.
And
That's
are you recording another one? Are you recording a new one as well?
Yes, we have
Okay.
the second one. Well, I'm going to spoil it a little bit. I leave you hanging. So on the first one, so the second part of it is going to continue on to the second movie, the middle part 2. It's called CE3. That's going to be the second film. So I'm in the middle of editing right now, as a matter of fact.
The thing is, like, even some of the people in the chat here saying it's so professional. I completely agree with you. You know, like, you've built up, you know, even obviously just having a chat, you know, you think straight away, you think of I'm just going to see a saucer in the sky. Like you'll probably see on the little podcast bit, you can see a little saucer flying around. It's a bigger thing. Like that man was saying, you know, it's connected to him. He feels like that's drawn towards him. He feels like he's connected. You know, how could I pose and ask a question of, you know, what are some of the scariest, you know, experiences you've heard from people who've come on to you, know, because obviously people have mentioned they've been, you know, abducted. Obviously, I don't want to spoil it for people that's coming up, but would you share one of the scariest experiences you've heard when they've obviously been with an alien or something's interacted with them or taken them away?
Well, we have a friend of ours, and she has been. She's with our group. Her name's Shauna. She's been with our group for a while. Actually, a couple of her videos and photos are on our first movie, but she has been attacked over and over and over and over for 5 to 10 years now, at least 5 to 10 years now, to where she's being scratched. It's tormenting her in a sense, to where these crafts are showing up at her house. They're hovering. Even her daughter has seen them. Sometimes they shapeshift. It's kind of hard to process when somebody's telling you this at first. You think, oh man, come on now. But once they start showing you the videos and photos, you start second guessing. You're like, okay, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I had her on one of my podcasts last year or the year before, and you know, on an audio podcast, she told her story, and she gets scratched, attacked, you know, to where she almost had to go to an insane asylum. You know what I mean? Because it messed with her mind so much that these things that were coming in and that she couldn't see with her eyes up close. A lot of times she could see them at a distance, and some of them kind of resembled like an evil entity in a sense, right? They were dark and sort of demonic, but they represented themselves as extraterrestrials to her. And she's just being tormented by it. And now today she's finding a little bit more peace with herself. But as she's reaching out to all these groups and the groups that we have here, you know, we help her as much as we can to try to get it processed mentally up here, and try to get it processed to where she can tell her story, to where people can actually believe what she's seeing. You know, man, I've had a lot of folks, you know, contact me, you know, where they're like in tears, or they're scared out their minds because the things that they saw, they can't fathom up here. They're thinking, man, I was scared, man. I didn't know what to do, you know, and their heart is pounding, they're sweating when they're talking to me, you know. And so I know that when they're telling me these stories, it's something that actually happened to them. But I can tell right away just by when they start talking to me, they're scared, they're jittery, you know, they're smoking 10 cigarettes, you know, and it's just one of those things. And I feel their pain when they're telling me this, you know, I feel bad for them, but at the same time, I try to help them past this and help them through it, and introduce them to other people that are experiencing the same things. So that way they can kind of talk and mesh together, and maybe they can find some kind of peace within themselves of what's happening to them. Do a lot of these things go away in time? There's people I think that are just being tracked, you know, to where they're going to be followed all their lives. And I'm talking maybe one out of a thousand now, maybe out of 10,000 people go through this, to where their mind is awake. There's something's happening, and then you get those other people that it's happening to them, and then they don't say nothing. They keep it to themselves. They're like, "No, it's just me. It's just something that's happening. Oh well, it's a dream," and it keeps happening for years and years and over and over and over until they get that one pivotal moment to where something happens, and they're like, "Wait a minute, something happened to me," and then they start opening up little by little. So, and there's two different kinds of folks that this happens to. Uh, once they come to me, they've already hit that point to where they've been holding it for years and years and years, and they're ready to get it off their chest. So, and I believe these folks. I haven't. I've gone one or two, not on my show, but I talked to them first a little bit. And there's some out there that it sounds a little far fetched as well, but I through my experience and the people that I've talked to and all the studying I've done on folks and trauma, post traumatic stress, I know that when somebody's telling me the truth, and I know when somebody's feeding me a bunch of crap too. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, and those are the things that I have to kind of distinguish at times. But
Do you deal with a lot of abductions, or obviously abductions are going to be significant? What percentage would you hear of abductions? Is it 1%, 2% out of the calls?
uh,
And
the people that I talk to, or just
yeah,
the people in general,
the people that come to you, obviously for yourself.
people that come to me, I always ask them if they know they've been abducted, and they have this I don't know moment. Maybe it's always a maybe. I've had maybe, like you said, maybe 5% that know that they've been abducted. That's something that happened to them because they've seen it, or they've seen the flashes of something that has happened to them, and they know something did because they have the scars, the tissue, the cuts, the abrasions, everything on their navel area. Especially female, right? So if you really think about it, most abductions happen to females.
Okay.
Yeah, and it does. That are
I
Rh
didn't know
negative.
that.
Yeah, they're Rh negative, female, and they have green eyes. So this is what's happening to a lot of these folks. And me personally, I just think that the reason it's happening to them because they're taking their eggs.
Hmm.
Because
Oh, wow. Okay.
they're taking their eggs and they're bringing them back. Like I said, I've documented stories of folks that once they abduct them, they later on go back and they abduct them again 10 years later, and they see the children that they made.
No.
Yeah, yeah, and they get to visit with them for a minute or so, and they say that they look kind of human, but they do and they don't. You know, it's
That is
kind of
incredible. That is
yeah,
scary. That
yeah,
is scary.
it is. But
So
those stories,
they've gone in, they've taken out, eggs and stuff for them to repopulate. They've gone away. They've taken them, they've repopulated, and they've come back, and then they've taken them back for them to see it.
yes,
Oh my! But obviously that's some part of you. How would you react? How would you react as a human to deal with that? That'd be crazy.
yep, and it's happened to men too as well. Just very little, but there's a couple of stories out there of men that it's happened to them that they get to see the children that they made. So, and some of these things can go left and right.
Yeah.
A lot of times, it can get. I hate to say it, but it'll get sexual on the male side. But on the female, they take their eggs most of the time. You won't hear that a sexual encounter with a female. Only with a male you hear the sexual encounter, and then on the female, all you hear was they'll take their eggs, but unwillingly and unknowingly until they wake up. Once they wake up, they'll find the scar right around their navel area, and this is how they know that something has happened to them. So, and this is by my studies, what I've studied with people, and what I've seen and what I've heard and what I've read and everything. This is what I've put together as far as that.
That is crazy. That honestly, that I am shell shocked. So like you said, it's just you open up your mind. From the start, we were just talking about you in the garden, talking about when you saw your first one.
Right.
So now we're talking about how potentially repopulating or populating and testing on humans.
Right.
And having that, like, how do you even comprehend with that? If someone comes into you or phones you up or whatever and says to you, "This has happened," you must think, it must be it must be incredible as well, because you must be thinking that it's brilliant. You're so intrigued in it, but it must be a lot to take on, like mentally for you as well. It must be a lot like, wow, like this is.
Oh, it is. It's a lot, because not just their encounter, but the emotions that come with it.
Yeah.
Because it's like I get emotional with them sometimes because I'm feeling their pain. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, it's traumatic, man.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's traumatic. It's not oh, they picked me up and they took me to their planet and we had a great time and had a picnic. That don't happen. That's only in the movies. So, and I always tell people, even on my podcast, even anywhere out there, I always tell them, look, be careful with what you wish for,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't come back. I don't know if you've seen that. There's a documentary called Missing 411. Watch that. It's called Missing 411. It's about people that go missing and they never see
Out of
them again.
nowhere.
Yep. It's a great documentary.
I know. I listened to another guy who's massive on YouTube. He does like Missing 411 files. The guy who wrote the book on and that sort of stuff. But that's a good one. No, I need to watch that. That sounds good. I've had a few questions come in as well. Crop circles. Thoughts on crop circles? Is it just a myth? Is it something that do you reckon it's alien related crop circles, or is it something that you think it is just people just having a wind up and messing around?
I've seen some really good ones out there, and I've seen some that people that actually put two and two together. I think the one that they have live, the one that showed it's while it was making the crop circles there in the UK, I believe. That one video that they found. When did it happen? It was in the 90s, early 90s, I think. But it was making a design, right?
Right.
I believe that these designs mean something. But I'm gonna tell you right now, not every crop circle is gonna be real. No,
I bet not.
It's probably got a 10 to 15% truth ratio to it. So I say it's gonna be more people are gonna be doing it on their own, making these elaborate designs. But you are going to see the real ones as well, actually trying to communicate somehow.
It's crazy to think about. Like I said, it's and I know we'll come back to obviously like the pyramids and stuff. It's writing hieroglyphics, writing in certain symbols. Obviously that the crop circle is normally a symbol. It's a symbol of something, like you said, a way of communication.
Right.
When I think obviously when I was younger, and this sounds crazy, but I thought a crop circle was where like an alien ship had landed, and that was like an imprint of it. Obviously, I was really young. But obviously, like you said, it may be communication. Come over here, come and search here more. There's certain stuff here.
Right.
It's crazy to think about it.
But and then kind of think about too, if it happened thousands of years ago, like the Sumerian, I don't know if you know about the Sumerian text out there. The way it looks. Have you seen Sumerian text? It kind of looks like scratches. It looks like scratches, like a little line, two lines, looking like a Z, whatever. That's the language that they were speaking back in the day, right? So and then when these things are trying to communicate, you kind of would think, okay, would they kind of give us a sign in the old language, right? In a sense to say, okay, we help them out, or would they give us a sign of in the crop circle as far as like something that was in the Egyptian hieroglyphs, right? Let's just for say, or would they give us a sign of something that's happening today, right? Give us some kind of mark to where we can put it together. And the designs that you're seeing are geometric, totally all geometric. You know, 9 times out of 10, what you're seeing out there.
But it all comes back to geometry. You've mentioned it already. Pyramids and stuff. Everything has a perfect geometrical shaping and alignment to stars. Constellations. It can't just be chance. It cannot be chance. And that's the thing with the pyramids. It can't be, we're only learning how to make certain like things now. There must have been some level of intervention. And similar to that, like I know it's only just a crop circle, but like you said, it leads into open your mind. Is it a message? Is it a communication? Is it to us? Is it to other people? Is it to other ships?
Exactly.
They said you got to open your mind. You got to open your mind.
You have to. Yeah.
That's you have to. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, that's why they have those petroglyphs and geoglyphs all over the earth. If you notice, there's some all over the earth. Some of them look like a man walking, miles long. Kind of giving the who are they talking to when they're putting these geoglyphs on the ground? Back then, what's flying up there? Our first airplane not till what was it 1918 or something like that? Or 1897. First man that got off the ground. So, why make something that big to something can see up there up in the sky?
Yeah, I didn't think of that. It's like you said, sending a message back upwards.
Yeah. So they had to have been in contact with something. Had to have, back in those thousands of years ago. Had to have.
Do you think, I'm not sure if you've heard of the Great Reset. I've had a chat with someone before about every sort of 10,000 years that, like the world as it know it, so like civilization has to reset, where it gets to a point of development where it may well reset.
Mhm.
Do you think that could be some of it? You know, it could be that we progressed, because think of how much we've progressed in the last 50 years,
Right.
moon landing to now. You know, I mean,
Right.
we can fly, you know, we can do basically anything. We can have AIs to generate anything. Do you think we've got to a point before, you know, and then we've had to like reset? Or do you feel that, you know, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say is like, do you think like we've got further than we have already, and we've had like something's intervened, whether it could be alien, whether it could be extraterrestrial, that's come and stopped us and wiped us out?
You know, recently, I think, what was it? A few years ago, they found some. It looked like a hammer, right?
Right.
A handle, and this thing was over 10,000 years old. Over that.
Hmm.
Okay, so if they found this in the ground, it was something that happened way before. You know, they didn't even have
Yeah.
that back in the day. So they were making these things. In other words, if we were already our technology was already up there and we had a reset back in the day, would we find maybe some extraterrestrial craft or something
Yeah.
or whatever, even a computer or laptop or anything they probably made back then? Will we find it, thousands of feet underground?
Yeah.
And then that's what we have to think about. Are we ever going to see something like that, to kind of think about, okay, yeah, there was a reset. Well, we all know the Younger and Dryas event that was 12,000 years ago with the flooding, right? We all know that happened, and that was a reset already once. So is it coming anytime? I don't know if it's going to come anytime soon. I don't see that coming right now. I just think that the earth and everything like that is just kind of it's going through its changes, just like everything else, the polar shifts.
Well, but then you think about it, right? So like you've mentioned it before, like you said that, perhaps there could be, because, we're challenging religion, we're challenging more stuff, like even like aliens is coming out. Like you said, when that comes out and says aliens are real, they've been here 20,000 years, we've found spaceships, it can near enough, stop certain, and obviously I don't want to cause controversy. It will cause a conflict between religions and society, and it will cause back to what is after death, what is before life, what we don't know. It can cause the anarchy,
right?
Perhaps that could cause a reset, that us going into like a meltdown of saying that, because there are aliens and because there is this and that, they made us here, it could cause us to reset ourselves rather than a natural one.
It could. I mean, who's to say it won't happen that way?
Yeah.
It's up to us to figure out if we're going to make that change, or only we can change that. It's like people are so scared of AI now, like what you were just talking about. Man, the AI is going to do this and AI is doing that. And, it's already taking people's jobs. It's doing everything already. Right.
Yeah.
So, my best solution for that, unplug it. Unplug it, man. Take it off the electricity, right? It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So, and I mean, it can get as far as it can. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It could probably do something very devastating.
Yeah.
If we allow it to, if we have it to where it starts thinking way too much for itself, then we've created a monster. We've created a Frankenstein here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what happened in the film? It went crazy.
It has to happen. It has to. We have to develop an AI as a weapon against another country, and it go wrong. It's going to happen. It's so obvious. We can now make videos, make people as someone will weaponize it, won't they? Someone will weaponize. It's just.
It will. And like I said, I mean, there was a movie in the 80s with Matthew Broderick. It was called War Games. That that exactly happened. It's an old film, but that's something that was happening. Back then. So they've already thought about it, but now we're already headed to so far into, our intelligence has gone boom, with our technology is crazy now. How fast our processors are, how fast everything is now, to where it's getting to, I don't know, me personally, I just think it's kind of making us a little lazy. It's too convenient. Everything's too convenient in a sense. Do I love it? Yeah, I love it. I love the computers. I love what we're doing here today. Without technology, we wouldn't be doing this right now still.
No.
So I love it to a certain degree. I'll put it to you that way.
So I've got one last question for you. I think obviously it's been incredible to spend some time with you and chat through and just get your knowledge. Honestly, it's been incredible. Where do you see us as a species in 100 years? Like, as in, technological, And is there going to be some form of integration, alien? Where do you see us?
I probably see us, of course, in Mars, probably there, and maybe the moon as a midpoint. I see us maybe as a different society in 100 years. Unfortunately, I see probably wars coming. I don't want it, but unfortunately, the human beings are their own worst enemy. Humans
Yeah.
are their own worst enemy. But I just hope that if an extraterrestrial does come down and says, "Look, man, I'm here. I want to just talk to you guys. I want to show you these things. I want to make your technology better. I want you guys to live together in harmony, or just whatever, without fighting and all that good stuff that comes along with it." I just hopefully in 100 years, man, that we'll be able to just kind of treat each other better, understand everybody better, and embrace everything,
Yeah.
open mind with your open mind, and just full heartedly, just kind of work together, be together,
Yeah.
instead of being so separated.
You got a good vibe going on, man. You got a good vibe. Thinking about one love. That's it, innit? That's it. That's it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
No, it's been brilliant. So where can people find you for podcasts, content? So if someone said to you, they've stopped you in the street now, "I loved it, Donald. It's amazing. Where do I find you? Because I want to know more about you."
Okay.
Where do I go
Well,
to?
I'm going to put the ticker down at the bottom. So you can find me at astpufo.com. That's where you can report a UFO, or alienstrand.com. You can go there, find me there. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm all over. I just got a TikTok for Alien Strand. As a matter of fact, I just got it like
Good.
last week. So finally, yay, we got TikTok. But I usually put a lot of our content on Facebook, and it's all over. We have X, which is Twitter now.
Yeah.
We go live there. You can find all my podcasts, the audio podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, everywhere you have a podcast in your iPhone. You have anything you have there. You'll just search Alien Strand Podcast. You'll find us there.
Alien Strand Podcast, right?
Yep.
So if you want to search Donald and obviously get more information and reach out as well, because obviously, like you said, if you've had an experience,
right,
and you might have been holding it out, hopefully this might have brought it out a little bit, and you've said, I need to speak to someone. You're there across anyone. Which is fantastic.
Anyone. Yeah, send me an instant message too. If you've got instant messenger, go find me on there, and just send me an instant message. I'll talk to you. And if you don't, well, you don't have to come on a podcast to tell me your story. And if you do, go for it. I'll be glad to bring you on and to help folks as well.
What have you got planned for the future? So what would you look like in a year's time? Where do we go?
I have like I said, the documentary. Then the second one, actually, there's going to be 3. So I have 3 documentaries coming up, and then we're actually going to work on a feature film. So we're planning that, and it's going to be a true story. So we're going to be looking into that, maybe hopefully by next year. So, but everything takes a little while to
takes time.
Make. Yes.
I suppose it's the plan, isn't it? To get to people, to organize, to get everyone in one position, to say, right, this week we're going there.
Right. Exactly.
Fantastic.
It's just a lot of planning and a lot of folks that come together, and like I said, with Terry Lynch and a lot of my friends, everybody's out there that supports us. We all come together and we try to figure out the best way to get the information out to people.
Honestly, Donald, it's been an utter pleasure. And obviously, it seems like the last couple of weeks I'm going on a journey to learn about extraterrestrial beings, ghosts. But it's been an utter pleasure. Thank you so much for just allowing me to have some time with you, ask some questions, and just get to know you as well. Guys, if you like it, please make sure you put a comment what your favorite bit is. Please go and check out alienstrand.com. Is that right? Is that the best place to go to? Please go and follow all of his socials. Go and connect with him if you've got experience or you want to get to know him. If he's got podcasts, the lot. Please go and check him out. And obviously, make sure you check out on the Amazon as well. You're live on there. You're the big time there, man. That's brilliant. And I'm making sure because I'm pretty sure I will reach out again. We'll connect again. I'll go for some more. I guarantee that we'll have some questions. So if you've got a question you want me to ask Donald again, please put it in the comments. We'll reach out and we'll ask him as well. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have some more. We'll go for the tougher ones this one. We just eased you in, just generally Air 51. We're going to go for the more scientific next time. That's brilliant.
Exactly.
Thank
Yeah. Like I said, thank you for having me on your show today. I really appreciate it. It was a blast. I had a blast, and I'm glad that we got to learn things together and talk and discuss a lot of this stuff. Open mindedly, of course.
Yeah. Well, if you ever need to know about video games, let me know. I don't think you've taken much from me, but honestly, mate, brilliant to catch up. And I will catch you in the next one.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Right, guys, I'm going to finish live now. You've literally got loads of people in here saying about what a cool